Thanks. Yeah, welcome to Kickflip Buttons, Lessons from Cool UI. We're going to have a look at some cool UI, how they do it, how you might be able to do it for yourself. This is a little bit of a dense talk, so I'm going to be talking pretty quickly. But at the end, there's going to be a QR code which will link to some slides and some more resources. So if you miss some stuff, don't worry, you'll be able to go back and check it. Yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm a freelance UI designer, currently living in Toronto. There's a couple of projects that I've worked on. Some game jams, vision model, custom projects. As far as actual games, I worked on Spellcaster Education, which is Spellcaster, which is an educational card game, teaching spelling through phonics. Red Echo, which is a mouse-based narrative RPG, and Aboveland, which is a action RPG multiplayer right out of Shanghai. Yeah, the UI is not visible as of yet, but trust me, they're cool. Yeah, hobbies, I GM and make materials for Lancer, which is a mecha RPG. And also doing a bit of longsword tips for getting the heart rate up and balanced sitting at a desk all day and stuff. Wait, let's get into the topic at hand. What is cool UI? But this super out. How many people have heard a variation of the phrase, a good UI is one that you don't notice? Yeah, I mean, I think that does have some validity. It's based on the idea that if you're noticing UI, it's probably because something off about it. You're like, oh, what's this doing here? I don't know where to find this option or something like that. UI is a key way that the player in the game communicates. So if it's it's poor UI, it's poor communication, it's frustration, you want to avoid that. But I think that we can go further beyond good to great. So a good UI is one that you don't notice. A cool UI is one that you do notice and say, hey, it has its own voice and uses it to harmonize with the rest of the game to enhance the experience as opposed to just fading into the background. And that's we'll preview some future content today. It's Hi-Fi Russians health. Yeah, we'll look into that. So to explain this, I've got made a little framework called the pyramid of cool. So we start off with the base, the fundamentals. So this is just your technical skills. If your UI is technically sound, then that's you can't really avoid that as a good basis. If you don't have that, you are going to run into those frustrations you mentioned before. So that's gets you to good. Then we use those fundamentals to express the identity of the game with appropriate choices for whatever the game happens to be. So the game says with its UI, I know what I am, I'm going to show it, which enhances the player experience. That gets us to great, but to get to cool, you need a little something extra on top. What is that? Surprise. Something unexpected or just you see interesting. So to go through each of these, honestly, fundamentals could have been a whole talk by itself. There's so much to talk about there, but a very, very base level is the art visually clear? Does it look good? Do the animations move nice? And does the UX flow well? Is everything where it's expected to be or makes sense logically? Human beings do notice bad more than good. So if there's going to be an itch there, that's going to come up in their mind more than if something is exceptional. But still, you should probably aim high because it's much easier to bring down a very visually interesting UI than it is to sort of punch up one that's just a bunch of squares. For identity, it's basically what the game is, but how do we break that down? So we've got genre, whether that's the game genre or the narrative genre, which are slightly different. Its setting, its time and place, the vibes, for want of a better word, and all this sort of you can think of as Steam tags. If you're looking for a certain game, you want to tag it, differentiate it from other similar games. How do you tag it? How do you describe it? Your job then is to translate that into UI with the fundamentals we were talking about before. Surprise? I don't know. If I knew what that was, it wouldn't be surprising, would it? But there are a couple of things around this, to be a bit more specific. So the surprise I did words like interesting, unexpected, or intriguing, and less so novel, unique, innovative, because it implies that something's only valuable if it hasn't been seen before. But you can definitely take stuff people have done before, put it in context, remix it, and that can be the interest or surprise. But this is the reaction. No, but let's get into some examples from some existing games. That's a little bit of preview there, but first I want to talk about In Other Waters, which is the first game from Jump Over the Age, which is from the same dev as Citizen Sleep, their first project. So if you're seeing this, it's like it seems pretty complex, right? There's a fair bit going on, but if you look at each individual piece, it's just a bunch of squares, circles, there's a triangle there. And it's the same with the animation. You can see with the on animation, it's just sort of a white, but that gets that gives the impression of complexity by layering it and offsetting it slightly. So from this we can see, the dev has like a graphic design background and is leaning into that to sort of bring through an interesting look for the UI, and using those simple shapes in a good, interesting way of bringing through impression of complexity. Next example, Hi-Fi Rush, Dangerworks. So this is an example of an excellent way of the themes and diversity of the game being expressed through the user interface. So if you don't know, it's a rhythm action game. So you go around whacking people with the guitar, but if you do it on the beat, it gives you like a damage bonus. So it's very music focused, and that comes through UI. You can see like sort of the very energetic animations, the like lightning bolt shapes. There's also a lot of comic book influence, which is to do with the narrative of the game. It's very sort of like Saturday morning cartoon, very bombastic. And all of that comes together in a really interesting way to sort of, all the outlets highlight to break through like a clear experience for what the game wants to be. Including especially UI. Next example, this wasn't planned, I promise, but another crab treasure from Angro Crab. So what I want to talk about with this one is so it's like a cute Souls-like, but you're a crab wandering around on the ocean. Has some environmental themes to it as well. But they could have gone in any sort of direction with the UI for this. Could have done like some nice cartoony hand drawn stuff, or I don't know, like a minimalist thing. But instead they've gone with this really interesting sort of 50s psychedelic, but also modern graphic design sort of look. And that's still appropriate. Like you can see around that status looks like seaweed fronds. And there's actually pointed out to me a little bit later, but one of the currencies in the game is it's microplastics. So as you can see the little like sort of uh, speckly design around the edges there. And yeah, the background is psychedelia. That's sort of, I don't know if this was intentional, but it's a little bit like the shiny on a power shell. So all of those are appropriate, but they're coming from a surprising place. So that's what I'd like to talk about this one is you can get that surprise by bringing through inspirations from places outside of games. But there are some pitfalls from making interesting UI. This is Signalis, I think the inventory menu. So it's got this really interesting CRT filter that it's really appropriate for the game. It's like a lo-fi horror-ish sort of experience. I really like it honestly, but like I don't know about you, but if you look at that word photograph, I feel like I need to put my glasses on. I'm already going on. So it's there are trade-offs. Yeah, I feel like it's a continuum where you're always balancing accessibility and readability versus visual interest. And so in Signalis, to get around this, you can go to the settings and turn it off. It's fine. But yeah, so I think the best approach is to make allowances, try and retain the soul of whatever you're working on. So even if you turn the CRT filter on, it's still got the the sort of pixely look. It's still got the sort of lens, the lensing effect like a TV did go on there. So there are still things that it does. It's really interesting. It doesn't make it like barely legible. So that's rounded off with what I think is probably one of the best modern examples of user interface, especially cool user interface. Like, are you seeing this? Look at it. It's so amazing. It's awesome. So this is Metaphorical Fantasio from Atlas Studios, the same people who did Persona, which is the previous, what I would have called best in class. I mean, it's still up there. It's just different, but on a similar sort of level. But yeah, what's it's, you can see that there's so varied. There's so much stuff going on, so many animations, but it's also all very cohesive, I think. And how are they doing that? With a visual motif. So a motif is like a repeated visual theme that's brought through the whole language of the game and the interface. But especially the interface. Just you're looking at it right now. The Vitruvian pops up a lot of places. You can statue it in the game at the back there. The Vitruvian Man is a Leonardo da Vinci illustration that is from the Renaissance era. And if I'm getting this right, it's like sort of showing the perfect proportions of humanity as it relates to geometry. But this relates to the themes of the game as well. Like it's a big time in the game. It's a big time of upheaval. There's a whole bunch of political machinations going on. The same way the Renaissance was also a time of great change. And specifically, the Vitruvian Man was representing the perfect leader that the main character is trying to. But yeah, you can see elements of this throughout the whole user interface. So what have we got? We've got parts of the body. We've got sketchy sort of lines in geometric shapes specifically. You can see it all all over the place. Like this is the main menu. All of the different options radiating out from the head. Skill menu, hand, how do you act on the world? The follower menu, which you get followers by bringing them over to your side through speaking. So it's focusing on neck and throat. Quest. This put me off for a little bit. It's like, look, no, it's the feet that you are using to move through the world from various points and progress on your journey, both literally and metaphorically. Yeah. and it's this is intentional as well. This is a quote from Koji Issei, the UI designer, just from a Eurogame interview. The important part is to tie the UI in with the tone of the game, and weave that into the game narrative. Being able to tie all that together with the game itself is what I consider to be something that's cool. So yeah, just lessons from metaphor. Look at it. It's great. It's amazing. And specifically, if you put effort into your user interface to this level, it's going to reward you, because everyone talks about how amazing their persona's UI could be. That could be you. They could be like, oh, your game is has that amazing UI. So that could be like a draw. If you put it, there's that aspect of it. And they tie all of their varied designs together with core visual motifs. With the you can see there also with the like sketchy lines that it's made, also eyes that go over the place. So yeah, there's more than just the body parts that come through it. But how do we do it? So this is Blackheart, which was nominated for visual design at the PABS just earlier this year. And I managed to interview the lead designer and also the artists that were that made this to see to get an insight into their process, to how they how they approached the UI for the game, because you might be able to see there that it has a very sort of I've been following the project from quite early, and it has a very sort of striking look to it. How did they do that? So I went to Josiah Hunt, who was the lead programmer, and they said that very early on they established that logo there, which was done by a different artist, Lydia Ankadu. Sean McLeod did the rest of the art and design later. But once they established that key visual, that let them see everything else around. And as you can see, it's pretty strong. It has really strong shapes, especially the color, which became their sort of iconic. Their iconic look. If you could look at if you're looking at the screenshots, you can see that's Blackheart, because it's using these very bright sort of pinkish red. And as to how the process actually went, Josiah went through and made a bunch of wireframes engine, and then Sean would come through with an art pass and then make all the basically placeholder squares look nice. And then they would test that in the game and see what works and what didn't, and then do another iteration from there. And they said that that iteration process, actually testing it in the game as opposed to just looking at it on a sheet and saying, oh yeah, that probably works, I like to look at that, was really important in getting certain aspects of it right. Also, the designer and the artist both knew a little bit of each other's feels. Josiah knew a little bit of a little bit of art in order to better express be able to better express to the artist what he was looking for in the game. And Sean had done a little bit of game design, so he was designing with that in mind. So instead of that having to be an iterative process, I'm going to make some UI with the game, that's completely wrong, because I didn't have to think about it. Didn't be taught. They came to they came to a closer compromise point much earlier, because they knew stuff about each other's crafts and could communicate with each other. They had that common language where, if Sean said, oh, I'm not sure about the contrast of these elements, pertains to the backgrounds, design what he's talking about. Probably not the best example. It's pretty simple. Be honest. So lessons from like a strong key visual early focuses everything after. So if you establish a really interesting core visual, then you can theme everything around it. That means everything will be both cohesive and strong because you started from a good base point. Cooperation between disciplines was crucial to getting like good final result, especially iterating through the process. And bold choices makes it identifiable in a crowd. Like if you're scrolling through screenshots or different game capsule things, that bright pinkish red really makes it really pops. It's like, yep, that's like a that. Let me just go through what I've had so far. So here's the pyramid cool again. Right for that. Yeah, it's pretty. I enjoyed making it. I think it's a good metaphor for how to get why build your fundamentals. It's used that to express identity and then the cool externess on top. So this is something you might take a photo of if you don't want to go to the QR code after. But these are questions to ask yourself that how you might, what to think about when you're designing to be able to release cool UI things into your game. So fundamentals, what strengths or current knowledge or tools do I have at my disposal? And what could I develop better understanding of with these? Individuals, do I understand the game's identity? If you don't know what the game's identity is, it's very difficult to then translate that into visuals. Where can I look for outside inspiration? And what appropriate motifs got to use to tie everything together? And can I use the key graphic as a specific instance of that motif to then theme things around? Process. Am I collaborating in the disciplines? And that can also be if you're a solo developer, am I thinking about the disciplines enough while I'm working on this particular aspect? And do I know enough about the other disciplines in order to have a conversation with them clearly about the different parts of it? And can we set up in-engine testing and iteration in order to improve the process? So here's a bit of bonus content. Interaction. I haven't talked about UX yet. What common or key game interactions can I spice up either by enhancing flair, fantasy, or physicality of the interaction, or adding appropriate mechanics to it? And do we have any fun gimmicks? Thank you very much for listening to that. I've been Jonathan. Work on a contract basis, so if anyone's got one, it's me. And if you want to check out slides and resources, I'll leave a QR code up. Yeah, thank you very much. Any questions?
Okay. Do you have any advice for people making games that are solely UI-based? How they might view the book?
Okay, so would I have any advice for someone who's making a game that it's pretty much solely UI? Get a UI design? Or no, if you, I guess just be aware that then the design and the function is going to be extremely important to the final experience of the game, especially if that's like completely the experience of how you interact. Anything specific that you might want to?
No, I think this, for examples, well, I think probably my advice myself would be my secret data of very perfect.
Right? Good to hear.
Or make sure you have those things.
A lot more testing.
Right.
Yeah.
Testing. Good. Yeah. Other questions? Wow. I have 5 minutes left, right? 3. All right, bonus content time. Let's go. Here's some slides that I cut out. I wasn't sure if I had time for, but they did. Let's go. So yes, we've done interesting examples of UI art, but what about UI interaction? So this is the lightsaber builder in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So there's a GDC talk about this. I couldn't find the talk, but it got condensed into a TikTok that works pretty well. It has all the main points. They tested different versions of this in the game because they expanded the lightsaber building quite significantly. They were wondering, should we do this awesome like crafting bench sort of thing where you're physically putting together the different parts, or should we do a much more menu-based approach, which will be much faster and smoother, so people get their designs done quickly? But people overwhelmingly chose the this version, as you can see in the final game, because it was much more engaging. It has a sort of toy-like quality. Sometimes friction is good, like making things a little bit more difficult for the sake of play fantasy or just adding something interesting to the game. Like it's not a common set. We want to make this slope down to finding something as slippery as possible. Sometimes a little bit of friction is good. This is the quick item select menu in Prey in 2017. It's a spiral. It's really cool. But it also serves a function. Like this allows it to be any length of items, and also, and have like a good design. And it functions nicely on analog stick. Stand around. It's like a good item. It also works in the themes of the games, like injecting yourself with alien DNA to get sort of morph powers. So DNA function, it all works together. There is a Game Maker's Toolkit episode where he makes a spiral menu to replace something in Zelda, and he made the game files to that available. So if you want a spiral menu in your game, you can just go and grab those on itch for free. If I want to see more. They're really cool. And Dredge. Everyone knows Dredge. Everyone likes Dredge. The fishing menu, fishing inventory, is its own little mini game. So it's not a new one. It's been done before in, I think, Resident Evil and stuff, but it's appropriate for the game. It adds gameplay in the, if you knock into something, it makes a little gap in your inventory. You have to deal with that, loots whatever's in that space. It also works in fantasy because you're a fishing boat, right? You fit as much fish on your boat as you can. But that's all the examples I had. Thanks for listening even more.
Wow.